All right. It looks like we are set. Good morning again. My name is Yen Tu, and welcome to our June 27th, 2023 Enforcement Program Oversight meeting. With that, the CBA have approved the opportunity for the public to participate via the WebEx platform. When we are taking public comments, we will begin by taking public comment from those individuals attending the meeting here. And then I will then ask the moderator to open the lines for public comment. As we have Mr. Jacob as an observer on the platform, on an alternate location, I would like to ask if any member of the public are in attendance at his location. Moderator, we do not have any public in an alternate location, correct?
There's no one at the other my location. This is Dan.
All right, thank you. So for public comment, you will be allotted up to 5 minutes for public comment. At this point, I would like Ms. Reed to call the roll, please.
Present.
Here.
Present. Yen Tu?
Here.
And Evangeline Ward? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. So I would like to read this to for the record, our mission statement. The CBA's mission is to protect consumer by ensuring only qualified licensees practice public accountancy in accordance with established professional standards. This mission is derived from the statutory requirement that protection of the public shall be the highest priority for the California Board of Accountancy in exercising its licensing, regulatory, and disciplinary functions. Whenever the protection of the public is consistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be prominent. All right, with that said, we're going to go to our first agenda item is the public comment for item not on the agenda. Anybody here in Sacramento? Moderator, can you open the WebEx for any comment on the agenda?
Yes, this is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. Those who are logged in, you can use the question mark inside of the square, typically lower right corner of your WebEx screen, and type comment in the text field. Make sure it goes to all panelists before clicking that send button. For those who are calling in via a telephone, you can press *3 to raise your virtual hand. At this time, there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A?
Yes, please. Thank you, moderator. All right, we're moving on to item number 2, approval of the minutes for January 27th Oversight Committee meeting. Do I see any member? Mr.
I will move to approve those minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
And Michael Savoy second the motion. Any discussion with the members? Any public discussion and or comment from the attendants here in Sacramento? Seeing none, moderator, please open up WebEx for any comments.
Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you would like to participate and are logged in, use the question mark inside of the square. If you're calling in, press *3 to raise your hand. There are no requests at this time. Would you like me to close the Q&A?
Yes, please. Thank you again, moderator. All right, all in favor of the motion, please indicate aye. About that. Ms. Reed, can you do the call for vote?
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines? Yes. Joe Rosenbaum?
Yes.
Michael Savoy?
Yes.
Yen Tu?
Yes.
And Evangeline Ward?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. All right. Now that I did that correctly again, let's go to item number 3, discussion and possible action to initiate a rulemaking to amend California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 98, which is disciplinary guidelines and model orders. Ms. Michelle Main, if you do the presentation.
Good morning. I am Michelle Main, and I am an enforcement manager. The purpose of this item is to provide members with proposed amendments to California Code of Regulations, CCR, Title 16, Section 98, which is Attachment 1, and revisions to the CBA Disciplinary Guidelines and Model Orders, which is Attachment 2, which I will refer to as the Disciplinary Guidelines going forward. Staff have reviewed and updated the disciplinary guidelines, and the proposed revisions are included in Attachment 2. I'd like to highlight the substantive revisions. The NASBA, the Center for Public Trust, CPT ethical leadership training was added as an option to standard conditions of probation and can be found on page 64 of Attachment 2. The NASBA, the CPT ethical leadership training was added throughout the disciplinary guidelines as an option when considering terms. An example of this can be found on page 13 of Attachment 2. Language was added to the rehabilitation evidence section related to petitions for reduction of penalty associated with reducing costs or an administrative penalty. This can be found on page 8 of Attachment 2. There were also many non-substantive changes, including grammar corrections and updating pronoun usage. Staff amended CCR Section 98 to reflect the new edition number and year. Staff are asking members to approve the motion that you can find near the bottom of page 2 of the agenda item under the heading Recommendation. This includes approving regulatory language for CCR Section 98, approving the revisions to the disciplinary guidelines, directing staff to submit the proposed changes to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs for review. Staff are also asking that if no adverse comments are received, members authorize the executive officer to take all steps necessary to initiate the rulemaking process, make any non-substantive changes to the package, and set the matter for hearing if one is requested. Finally, staff are asking that if no request for hearing is made and no adverse comments are received during the 45-day comment period, members authorize the executive officer to take all the steps necessary to complete the rulemaking to adopt the language for CCR Section 98. At this time, I'd like to turn the discussion back to Chair 2 and would be happy to answer any questions members may have.
Thank you for the presentation, Ms. May. Any member have any comments or questions? See none. Anybody from the Sacramento location? Thank you. Actually, can I call for a motion from any member?
Chair 2, I'd like to move that we adopt and approve the staff recommendation as outlined in the presentation.
Thank you. And Ms. Hine?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Hine, for seconding. Now we can go for public comment. Anybody from Sacramento? Seeing none. Ms. Moderator, please open the WebEx.
This is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you would like to participate, click that question mark inside of the square and follow the instructions on the slide. For those who are calling in, press *3 to raise your virtual hand. No requests at this time. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Now, Ms. Reed, if you can call the vote.
Evangeline Ward,
Yes.
Yen Tu,
Yes.
Michael Savoy,
Yes.
Joe Rosenbaum,
Yes.
and Carrie Ann Farrell Hines.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. All right, moving on to the next item, which is item 4, discussion and possible action to initiate a rulemaking to add a California Code of Regulation. This is Title 16, Section 99.3, reinstatement of surrender license via written record. And I would like to invite Ms. Carrie O'Connor, Deputy Enforcement Chief, to make a presentation.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Carrie O'Connor, and I'm the Deputy Enforcement Chief. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide the CBA with proposed regulatory text to add Section 99.3 to the California Code of Regulations, Title 16, describing the procedure for reinstating a surrendered license not resulting from an enforcement matter. The text for Section 99.3 is attached to the agenda item. Previously, the CBA directed staff to draft regulatory language regarding changes to the petition process when a petitioner is requesting the reinstatement of a surrendered license not resulting from an enforcement matter. Specifically, the regulation would allow the CBA to consider a petition for reinstatement via a written application, which will reduce costs and resources for the CBA and the petitioner. I'd like to highlight that a petitioner must meet certain criteria in order for a petition to be considered via a written record. The criteria is noted on page 2 of the agenda item. I'd also like to note that there is a very small population of individuals, less than 500, that have surrendered a license not resulting from an enforcement-related matter. Typically, licensees elect to put their license in inactive status, have their license canceled after 5 years of non-renewal, or apply for retired status rather than surrender the license. Staff recommend that the CBA approve the proposed language for Section 99.3 provided in the attachment and direct staff to submit the text to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs for review, and if no adverse comments are received, authorize the Executive Officer to take all steps necessary to initiate the rulemaking process, make any non-substantive changes to the package, and set the matter for hearing if one is requested. If no adverse comments are received during the 45-day comment period and no hearing is requested, authorize the Executive Officer to take all steps necessary to complete the rulemaking to adopt the proposed language for CCR Title 16, Section 99.3 as noticed. At this time, I'd like to turn the discussion back to Chair 2 and would be happy to answer any questions members may have. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. O'Connor. That was an excellent presentation. Any comments or questions from the members? Joe?
My question, what was the process prior? What's the current process for reinstatement not resulting?
They would need to, like any other petitioner, they would need to submit an application and appear before the board at a CBA meeting.
So essentially, the change is for them to not have to appear, but request in writing, correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. Any other, Joe?
I move to approve the proposed regulatory text and direct staff to initiate the rulemaking process.
Thank you, Michael Savoy, for making the motion. Ms. Hine, second. And any other additional comment from the members? If not, please, in the Sacramento public, anybody want to make a comment? See none. Ms. Moderator, please open up WebEx for this item.
Yes, this is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you would like to participate and you're logged in, press the question mark inside of the square and follow the instructions are on the screen. If you're calling in, press *3 to raise your virtual hand. There are no requests at this time. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. And Ms. Reed, please call for the vote.
Joe Rosenbaum,
Yes.
Michael Savoy,
Yes.
Yin Tu,
Yes.
Evangeline Ward,
Yes.
and Carrie Ann Farrell Hines.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. All right. Looks like we're going to our 5th item on the agenda, which is agenda item for next meeting. Any member of our committee have anything? Sacramento public, anybody? Seeing none. Ms. Moderator, open up WebEx for comments.
This is the moderator. The Q&A is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you're logged in, you can press the question mark inside of the square, type comment, send it to all panelists. Those who are calling in, press *3 from your phone to raise your virtual hand. There are no requests at this time. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you, Ms. Moderator. All right, so we can move on to adjournment. Thank you very much for being here, members of the public and members here.